This is a piece that I call This Is My Song for Peace. Recently, I witnessed my brother making a post on peace and the negativity that is presented daily that comes across his newsfeed. It was a bit disheartening to see how quickly others pounced upon what he had to say. It is amazing how people fail to look at things, the content and the context of the message, and they rush in to make their responses based on their narrowed scopes and a presentation that is given with hatred in their hearts. When we speak out, it isn't done because we love terrorists, we're being un-American, or we're turning a blind eye. In fact, nothing could be further from the truth. Truth be told, we are as American as can be, and if you were to cut us, you would see the red, white, and blue blood that courses through our veins. A great portion of how we feel is based on the fact that we have been affected by war since before our births, and we are war-weary. For my part, I have done 3 tours of the Middle East, of which one was combat, and the others were a dog and pony show to sell our equipment to Jordan, and the other was us whipping our dicks out and waving them at Saddam Hussein, daring him to cross the border. My dick was an impressive 120mm smoothbore. That is the main gun of the M1 series main battle tanks I so love. A lot of how I feel is based on the dealings with the civilian population of Basra, Iraq, and what I know about that area from history. There are a lot of misconceptions, the least of which are that all Arabs are Muslims, all Muslims are Arabs, all Muslims are terrorists, and Muhammad holds more sway in the Islamic faith than Jesus. All Arabs are not Muslims. In fact, a great number of Arabs are Christians, because being Arab is a location, not a religion. Not all Muslims are Arabs. In fact, Muslims are located all over the world, and there are over 1 billion people who follow the religion of Islam. Contrary to popular belief, not all Muslims are terrorists. The greatest portion are peaceful in their lives. Muhammad and his teachings are not at the root of Islam. Muhammad is basically the extension of the teachings, or what would be the equivalent of the Old Testament of our teachings. And in case you didn't notice, that testament focuses on hatred, murder, revenge, and the subjugation of all who don't fit the scope of power and beliefs. Sadly, many homes in America are made of glass, and many of our citizens have pockets full of rocks to go with their backup supply on their heads. Muhammad's mentioned in the Quran 5 times, and Jesus is mentioned 25 times, and he is spoken of in the highest reverence. I honestly believe that a great portion of our population goes off of what they see in the media and what they are taught by narrow-minded clergy. The greatest portion of what is presented is nothing more than fear-mongering. It would be wise to remember that fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, and hate leads to suffering. Many people have never experienced war, and even less have experienced PTSD, the suicides of so many brothers and sisters, and the utter failure of a government who has practically abandoned its veterans. I see postings of the French retaliation bombings, and the people who become elated and even borderline orgasmic at the idea of revenge. However, I also see the buildings around the points of impact and realize that there are quite possibly innocent civilians in those buildings. Many in those areas have become angry over the indiscriminate way that we kill, and truth be told, you'd be pissed if it happened in our nation. And please don't cite 9/11 as just cause for action, because it's a farce. Our government sells stories, and they pray for the public outcry for revenge. We exact revenge, or so we think, and in return there are counteractions in the name of revenge. In the end, it ends up being an eye for an eye, and as Gandhi said, it just leaves the whole world blind. What really gets me is how public outcry works. France gets the focus, while so many other nations receive either limited coverage or no coverage at all for terrorist activities because they don't further the agenda. Hell, we bombed a hospital that killed many and ended the lives of some incredible individuals who were known as the Doctors Without Borders, and nobody even batted an eye. Every recent enemy that we have is an enemy that we have placed into power and helped to create. As long as they suit our purposes, they remain in power. WMD's my ass. Saddam had to go to destabilize the region to stop him from trying to change petrocurrency to something other than the dollar. And the same goes for Gaddafi, who was going to go with the gold dinar. 9/11 was an excuse to get into Afghanistan to get control over opium and to focus the American mind on eliminating an enemy that we created. In case people didn't know, we operate on a policy of penis envy, and we don't particularly care for brown people, only their resources. It's pretty simple to see it in action. We hear they've got bigger brown dicks, oil, and opium. Sorry to tell you, that's a recipe for being invaded. People may not like what I'm saying, but I'm simply acting like Dragnet, and these are just the facts. Entirely too many people are calling for war and are fine with indiscriminate killing. On a daily basis, I want to grab folks and ask them if they'd been to war. It takes great restraint to not grab people when they say no and tell them to shut up with a well-delivered throat punch. For my brethren who claim, pull me out of retirement, do me a favor. Quit flexing. Put your dicks back in your drawers. You're never going to be greater than you were in your glory days. It is enough to know that you are trained and ready if need be. I can do without the kill 'em all and let God sort 'em out mentality. It sounds both ignorant and barbaric. All this being said, I love my brothers and sisters, and I mourn their loss so deeply. I am not for terrorists, and I understand that they cannot be tolerated regardless of their point of origin. However, I am too old and diminished physically by my past exploits in the name of my government to fight overseas. I assure you, if the threat comes into my area, poses a direct threat to my well-being and those I love, I will lock and load, and I will do what I must. I, however, will not tolerate the grouping of individuals based on religion or other characteristics that allow for the diminished value of human life. If you continue to sing songs of war and beat the drums, I will continue to sing my song for peace. Remember, I was an NCO, and I know how to project my voice until it's heard. I love y'all, but I had to get this out.